Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as our program is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium the chairman of the Texas Business Hall of Fame, Sean Kennedy.
Following that video, I now know what it feels like to be a San Antonio Spur being introduced before game time. That was pretty special. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Texas Business Hall of Fame's 37th Annual Legends Induction Dinner. As chairman, it's my honor and privilege to celebrate yet another record-breaking year as we recognize the 2019 Texas Business Legends, and also our future Texas Business Legends Scholarship recipients. With the proceeds from tonight's dinner, we have raised over $2.6 million for the benefit of future scholarship recipients. On behalf of the Texas Business Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we are so glad to be back in San Antonio, and a very special thank you to everyone who traveled to be with us tonight. To begin our evening, I would like to call upon Reverend Dr. Patrick Gahan of Christ Episcopal Church here in San Antonio to provide the invocation.
I feel like I'm on the set of Star Wars. Last Sunday, a layman in our church went to the pulpit and said that he had coffee with God, and it wasn't a very pleasant conversation. He sat on the porch of his home and he said, "Lord, I have done it my way for 22 years and it's been a disaster." He says, "I think I'm ready to give you a shot." He was nearing burnout, he was frayed, he was disillusioned. And at that point, his business was barely making it in the Lone Star State. Now, just a little more than 10 years later, his business is in every state in the United States and in Puerto Rico and in Mexico. And his bottom line has increased by 400%. That's what happens when you let God have his way with you. Amen. But that's not the real miracle. The real miracle is that he says his romance with his wife was reignited, that his relationship with his children was rekindled, and that his employees, even at the lowest levels in his factory, feel like they're part of something much greater than themselves. That's what real business does. And I praise God to be part of that with you tonight. And so, in that spirit, I ask us to let us pray. Almighty God, whose prophets, patriarchs, and matriarchs shared our earthly life and knew our toil and thereby sanctified our days of labor, be present with these business leaders where they work. Inspire them to carry on the industries and commerce of this land responsive to your will, and give their employees pride in what they do and a just return for their labor, and a joy to work in communion with others. You, O Lord, gave us the work of our hands and the minds for the benefit of the world and its people that you have entrusted to us. Lest we forget, Lord, our spouses and our children, they are your first gifts to us. Do not let our business outrun our commitment to care and to love and nurture them. This night, blessed Lord, we praise you for the bountiful food and drink set before us. Yet we know full well that the real feast in our communion is with one another across the table. We praise you for the people you have given us to share this journey. And finally, we pray that you, blessed Lord, deliver us in our various occupations from the service of self alone, that we may do the work you've given us to do in truth and beauty and for the common good, and in the spirit of the young carpenter who came among us as one who serves. Amen.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Gahan. And it's important for us to have that opportunity as we begin tonight to focus on our faith, and as we begin our evening celebration to be centered in what's most important to all of us in life. This year's induction invitation had the title, Let the Stories Inspire You. Our mission is to tell stories that inspire and transform business leaders and future business leaders in our state to reach further and do more to improve the lives of Texans through economic growth and an unwavering commitment to empowerment. Texas ranks number 2 in the nation for business when measured by GDP. And if Texas were a sovereign nation, which I know some of you would like to have, we would be the 10th largest economy in the world by GDP. So it's obvious that Texas is a place where really good ideas and a lot of grit not only transform our local economy, but it also drives an economic and a global economic engine. Tonight we recognize and honor our existing legends, and we will induct a new class of 2019 legends. These men and women will inspire you with the businesses they have built, the entrepreneurial spirit, and the extraordinary commitment to bettering the lives of individuals around our state, our nation, and the world. I know celebrating their achievements will leave a lasting and a unique impact on all of us this evening. We look forward to introducing to you later this evening the 2019 Texas Business Hall of Fame Scholars, and we hope that to see them on this stage sometime in the future as Texas business legends. These outstanding young people bring us their promise, and that promise is to use their talents to generate opportunity and success in Texas business and to pay it forward to the next generation. Before I introduce our MC for tonight's event, I would like to recognize a few honored guests who are with us this evening. First, I would like to acknowledge and recognize former Texas State Senator and former Chancellor of Texas Tech University, John T. Monford, and his wife, Debbie. We're also honored to have with us this evening the Mayor of Austin, Steve Adler. And because San Antonio is the host city for this year's Texas Business Hall of Fame Gala, we are especially honored to have the Mayor of San Antonio, Mayor Ron Nirenberg, and his wife Erica with us this evening as well. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce one other dignitary and master of ceremonies, San Antonio's very own Henry Cisneros. As I'm sure you're all aware, Henry served Texas as our mayor of the city of San Antonio and our nation as the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. After leaving HUD, he became President and Chief Operating Officer of Univision Communications and currently continues to serve on their board of directors. Henry is also a former member of the advisory board of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Currently, Henry is chairman of City View Companies and is a principal and chairman of the executive committee of Siebert, Cisneros, Shank and Company. Henry honored us with being our MC in 2016, and honestly, I could think of no better person to be with us tonight representing San Antonio and the Texas Business Hall of Fame than our very own Henry Cisneros. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Henry Cisneros.
Thank you, Sean, and welcome to San Antonio, those of you who are visitors to our city, and those of you who are San Antonians. Please join me tonight in welcoming all of those who have come to make this one of the largest Texas Business Hall of Fame gatherings in the history of the program. And before the night is out, you will have raised the largest amount of money for scholarships that the Texas Business Hall of Fame has raised. I'm honored to join you once again to celebrate an outstanding group of business leaders. The class of 2019 has left their mark not only on Texas, but as you will see in a few moments, on the world. They're outstanding business leaders who epitomize the entrepreneurial spirit, are passionate about progress and its unlimited potential to transform the world. It is clear that the people you will meet tonight are stars. And at events like this, sometimes you're exposed to athletic stars or media stars, movie and music, but these are the folks, as you will see, who employ people, who build our economic development, who give back to communities, and who build the framework, if you will, of our society, a very, very special group. Tonight, let's begin by introducing the former recipients of this honor, and you will see this is a who's who of Texas business leaders. From the class of 1997, please welcome Ed Whitaker, former CEO of SBC, AT&T, and General Motors. From the class of 2002, welcome Bill Greehey of San Antonio, former chairman and CEO of Valero and founding chairman of New Star Energy. From the class of 2004, ladies and gentlemen, Rosemary Kowalski, the founder of the RK Group. The whole city just celebrated her 95th birthday. From the class of 2008, welcome Dick Evans, former president of Frost Bank, CEO and president of Frost Bank, San Antonio. From the class of 2009, from Corpus Christi, Jerry Susser, vice president of Susser Holdings. From the class of 2010, from San Antonio, Carlos Alvarez, the founder of the Gambrinas Company, and Harvey Najim, founder of Sirius Computer Solutions. From the class of 2012, Doug Fauché, former chairman of El Paso Corporation and founder of Sallyport Investments, And also from that year, 2012, John Now from Houston, President and CEO of Silver Eagle Distributors, big player in our community. From the class of 2013, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Amato and Gary Dudley, co-founders of SWBC. And from that class, Craig Boyan, CEO of HEB. What did I say? An honor roll of companies, an honor roll of achievement, an honor roll of great people. The class of 2014, Douglas Hawthorne from Dallas, former CEO of Texas Health Resources, a company he built from 600 people to 21,000. From the class of 2015, from Houston, Greg Armstrong, Chairman, Plains All American. From the class of 2016, from Dallas, Gary Kelly, CEO of Southwest Airlines. And from last year's class, the class of 2018, from Houston, Patricia Will, co-founder and CEO of Belmont Village Senior Living, and from that same class, Ernie Cockrell, Chairman of Cockrell Interest. Ladies and gentlemen, the members of the Texas Business Hall of Fame who could be with us this evening. As you see, this is a distinguished group that could be with us from those who've been honored over all of these years. But when you pull the whole group together, these and others who've been named over the years, it is truly the foundation of modern Texas. It's now a great pleasure to present those persons who were inducted tonight to join these other legends in the Texas Business Hall of Fame. Turn your attention to the screens.
Richard Fisher. Tim Hickson. Accepting in his honor his wife, Karen Hickson. The Bill Miller family. Kendra Scott. Robert Smith. And Graham Weston. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate your Texas Business Hall of Fame Class of 2019 Legends.
You may have noticed that Kendra Scott is not among the group who stepped up. She had an emergency health situation that came up for her father, and she had to go to be by his side in Wisconsin. But we'll recognize her tonight in a special way. Kendra Scott, a member of the class of 2019. Well, you can see that those who are being inducted tonight have every deserving reason to be on this stage with the other legends that we've introduced already. They're people of vision, of business success, of great leadership, and you're going to be thrilled when you see their stories on film this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please join once again in recognizing the 2019 Business Legends inductees into the Texas Business Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you to all of our legends who are here with us tonight. Our foundation consists of volunteer business leaders from across the state. We are focused on finding the next generation of exemplary Texans who, with the continued support of our directors and our legends, will become trailblazers of enterprise and other businesses. To date, This is an amazing statistic, ladies and gentlemen. To date, the Texas Business Hall of Fame has been able to award over 700 higher education scholarships, and these scholarships recognize Texans early in their careers for their entrepreneurial spirit, their grit, and most importantly, their sense of civic responsibility. At this point, I would like to pause and recognize those legends who are no longer with us this evening. We celebrate the accomplishments of the legends and scholars, but we also want to take this opportunity to take a moment to recognize those that have left us in the past year. But even though that they have left us, they have clearly left an indelible mark, not only on our state, not only on our country, but the world. Individuals who are larger than life and who effortlessly represented the unique opportunity and the spirit of our state of Texas. I'm sure you all feel as I do, that we're proud that we can call them Texans. We have experienced the profound impact they have had on our state, our nation, and the world, and their legacy has laid a firm foundation for our next generation. And it reminds us that the American dream is alive and well. And I will tell you, as I saw those names appear on the screen as we went through our dress rehearsal, I was just reminded of how incredible these individuals have been in our lives, in our state, and just in general in business and what they've done for us. And we take this opportunity tonight just to thank them for their contributions and to remember them for what they've done. Their legacy and the legacy of other business leaders around our state will continue and will carry on as the state of Texas continues to grow and as our Texas Business Hall of Fame and our scholarship recipients continue to grow. The endowment program is an important part and an important investment, not only in our past, but our present and our future. We are grateful to all of the business legends and directors who have contributed toward this program this evening. This year, we awarded 36 scholarships at 24 universities around the state. This includes a new scholarship for a highly deserving first-in-family student. This scholarship was donated by AT&T in honor of our 2019 legend, Richard Fisher. And the reason why AT&T did this is because Richard Fisher is a first-in-generation college graduate. Richard seized the opportunity of college to harness and guide his desires to be the best at whatever he dreamed he could be. Our scholars that you will see in a few minutes were hand-selected by our directors based on their entrepreneurial spirit and their sense of civic duty. This evening, they are wearing medals with red ribbons. And I'll give you this message, having been involved with these scholarship recipients and having spent time with them. If you're feeling discouraged, if you feel like the next generation is lost more than ever, or you believe some of what you read or hear in the news about a generation that will underperform their predecessors, I'm here to tell you it's wrong. And I urge you to talk to any of these scholars tonight, and you will see for yourself the quality, the caliber, the passion, the commitment, and the drive that these young men and women are bringing to our next generation. You will be reminded that hope and the opportunity are not lost, but are uniquely alive and well with each and every one of them in our room tonight. As you enjoy your dinner, I would be remiss if not thanking the individuals and companies who have generously supported this dinner tonight. This is a record year for the Texas Business Hall of Fame in what we call Military City, USA. And at this point in our program, I would like to invite all of our special guests to join our supporters in honoring this city by helping us establish something brand new with the Texas Business Hall of Fame. It is the Texas Business Hall of Fame Award designated specifically for veteran entrepreneurs. If you're unaware, Texas and San Antonio, we call ourselves Military City, USA, not as a passing comment, but as a reality. So much so that our city now owns the service mark or trademark called Military City, USA. No one else in our country will be able to use those words because they belong to us and they belong to our city. In the last year, the Hall of Fame has awarded 4 veterans through its traditional selection process, including a Navy SEAL, a West Point graduate, an inductee into the Military Hall of Valor, and 3 of these 4 have already established their own businesses, and in one case have established more than one business. Their example and success inspires us to ensure that the entrepreneurial spirit of the veteran community will be permanently represented in our prestigious awards program. So for those of you who are here tonight and have not had the opportunity yet to support the Texas Business Hall of Fame, I would like you to partner and invite you to partner with us in this important goal. You will have an opportunity, a short opportunity, over the next 15 minutes to use your smartphone. Yes, I have gray hair, but I am familiar with technology. To use your smartphone to text and give. Starting any time, you can text the acronym TBHF to 41444, and you will receive a message back to the link allowing you to donate. We would love to announce at the end of this short giving session that we have successfully funded at least one $15,000 veteran award for 2020. We need your help in achieving this goal, and again, you can text TBHF to 41444, and we will keep the number on the screen for you. Thank you for your support. We look forward to beginning our induction ceremony after dinner. Please enjoy your dinner. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as our program will resume in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Sean Kennedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, while you continue to enjoy your dinner and dessert, I'd like to acknowledge our presenting sponsor, Texas Capital Bank, so please direct your attention to the video screen.
Good evening. I'm Keith Cargill, President and CEO of Texas Capital Bank. I'd like to join the Texas Business Hall of Fame in welcoming you to the 37th Annual Legends Induction Dinner. We are pleased to be recognizing a group of individuals tonight who represent the unique opportunity and merits of our Texas economy and who truly reflect its strengths as arguably one of the best business environments in the world. I'd like to take a brief moment to share how Texas Capital Bank is empowering entrepreneurs and serving communities throughout the state.
We picked Texas Capital because of the people. From the senior officers down to the ones that work the cash management program, it's all about the people and the relationships. It's not one size fits all. It is directed towards businesses. They understand that market. They provide the tools and the services to make businesses like ours flourish.
We've just had a great working relationship with them before this project, on this project. They continue to be supportive.
Sometimes there's promises up front, but then the reality is a little different from what the promises were, and not in this case. It only got better. It really gets better every year.
When you're dealing with a bank that has been as successful as Texas Capital Bank has from a growth standpoint and earnings standpoint, that gives me the confidence in my business to continue to keep the throttle down and grow our business because I know they'll be there for me.
Our relationship with Texas Capital Bank is very valuable to us.
It allows us to move forward with confidence and pursue different opportunities in our business, knowing that they're going to be there when we need them.
Texas Capital Bank is proud to support the Texas Business Hall of Fame and its scholarship program, recognizing outstanding Texas students. On behalf of both organizations, congratulations to the class of 2019 inductees. We are eager to hear the stories that will be shared tonight and the new stories in business that this evening will inevitably inspire. And we thank you all for being here.
You all got to see the CEO of Texas Capital Bank, Keith Cargill, on the video primarily because today is their quarterly earnings announcement that took place at 4 o'clock this afternoon, where Keith shares with not only the analysts but our employees the results for the third quarter. As we speak, Keith is actually on the phone taking several questions from analysts who cover the company's stock, so he was unable to be with us this evening and sends his regret. But we certainly do appreciate Texas Capital Bank and being our presenting sponsor since 2014. So Keith and the rest of the Texas Capital Bank team down here in front of me at table 7, thank you all very much for your continued support. I'm also pleased to report that although they have supported us since 2014 as the presenting sponsor, they recently made the commitment to continue to support the Texas Business Hall of Fame as our presenting sponsor for the next 3 years into 2022. And so we're very pleased to hear that as well. Texas Capital Bank took one step further, not only being the presenting sponsor of the Texas Business Hall of Fame, but because of the work that's being done in our scholarship alumni program, Texas Capital Bank has also made a 3-year commitment to sponsor the Scholarship Alumni Association. And what that will do is allow all of our previous scholarship recipients to have opportunities to come together throughout the year, share experiences, share stories, talk about business development and new opportunities, and do it in a format that's very productive. And again, Texas Capital Bank is going to be sponsoring that program for the next 3 years. So thank you to Texas Capital Bank. I heard from some of you as we were having dinner that there was a little bit of a challenge with the texting app, and believe it or not, that was because so many of you at the same time tried to get into the app to make your donation. So if you had that challenge, I would encourage you to continue as we continue the program this evening, working with that TBHF and the 414444 if you want to make that donation. Now, I also want to share with you that 2 Texas Business Hall of Fame legends approached me during dinner and provided the following amazing news about our Veteran Scholarship Program. Doug Fauché, who's the former chairman of El Paso Corporation, said that he spends a lot of time working with veterans and continues to be impressed with who they are, and what they stand for, and basically said, I want to fund 10 $15,000 scholarships for veterans. Thank you, Doug. We also had another legend come forward, and they also said they wanted to fund a veteran scholarship for 5 years, $15,000 each year, with one condition. The award goes to a Marine veteran. So John Now, who's the chairman and CEO of Silver Eagle Distributors, John, thank you for your commitment to our veterans as well. We'll try to have a tally for you as we get to the end of our program this evening. Tonight, we're also excited to share the news that in addition to the scholarships that have been extended and the Veteran Award that I've just discussed, we also have received brand new support for our scholarship program. And at this point, I want to share our thanks for the generous support to the following individuals and organizations: HEB, Southwest Business Corporation, Regina Rogers, Harry Pafanis, the Chow family, AT&T, and Doug and Martha Hawthorne. I mentioned earlier that if you had an opportunity to talk with our scholarship recipients, you would be nothing less than encouraged about our future. And now, as I invite them to come out on the stage, I want you to take a long glance at the quality of these young people who are receiving scholarships this evening. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the 36 2019 Future Texas Business Legends Scholarship recipients who represent the bright future of business in Texas. Each of these students that's coming out on the stage was interviewed and selected by the Board of Directors in April of this year, and they received an award of $15,000 earlier today at a luncheon in their honor, and our luncheon was sponsored by Deloitte, so thank you, Deloitte, for your sponsorship. Additionally, the Texas Business Hall of Fame awarded a $25,000 prize to the 2019 Best in Texas winners at the Rice University Jones School of Business for their annual business plan competition. This business plan competition is actually the largest in the world. This year's Best in Texas winners partnered with the College of Science and Engineering at Texas State University for a brand new company called Nabucco. We are pleased to recognize Nabucco and their team tonight, Demilola Runsewe, who is the team leader, and Carlos Corona, the team member. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for these scholarship recipients and the business plan competition winners for 2019. Thank you. These are some of our future Texas business legends. At this time, I'd also like to recognize our executive committee and give a special thanks to each of you, or each of these directors who continue to support the foundation throughout the year, will the members of our Executive Committee of the Texas Business Hall of Fame please stand and be recognized at this time. And in addition to our Executive Committee, will all of the Texas Business Hall of Fame directors please stand and be recognized? I know it may have been hard for you to see all of our Executive Committee and directors who stood, so I refer you to the program for their names and commend each and every one of them for the service to this organization. They have done an amazing job, not only providing guidance on the scholarship recipients, but also providing direction to where we go with this organization from this point forward. It is now time to welcome back Henry Cisneros, who will host the induction ceremony of tonight's legends into the Texas Business Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Sean. The highlight of this event every year is the stories of the people who are inducted into the Texas Business Hall of Fame. And it's really an amazing thing because these folks have done some truly outstanding things in their lives. It's hard to imagine that in one lifetime, some of the things that you're going to see can be accomplished. These are people who are driven. They're the best of the best. Throughout their life, they've demonstrated determination. They're smart. And they give back to the community in large ways. They're truly outstanding people, and you tonight are going to be moved by the stories you see. The Texas Business Hall of Fame does a great job, I might say, in putting together the videos that you're going to see. Tonight we begin with Richard Fisher. Richard Fisher made substantial resources in his own business early in life and decided to devote himself to public service in major ways. We know him best in Texas business by his leadership of the Dallas branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States. He was the president of the Dallas Fed. As such, was instrumental in guiding Texas business through the recession and beyond, the recovery, to levels, participating by his voice in the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, in guiding the country to the historic levels of economic accomplishment we see today. Please turn your eyes to the tape on Richard Fisher.
I've loved everything, but public service, if you're successful in the private sector, you should do some public service. And you don't get paid anything, you give up a lot, but you're representing the greatest country in the world. The man who trained me, Robert Rosa, he told me that the purest form of public service would be to serve the Federal Reserve. I never dreamed I would become President and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, or that I'd sit on the Federal Open Market Committee, but I did, and I loved it, loved every moment of it.
Richard's personal background is absolutely fascinating. His parents were immigrants. He came from a background that was not at all privileged.
My father had had difficulties as a child. He was a homeless boy. He was arrested for begging for food in the streets at the age of 5 years. My father had no education. My mother had no education. I'd gone to the Naval Academy, to Harvard, to Oxford, and Stanford. And I remember my father saying, "We've gone from no education to too much in one generation. Get a job." And that was the beginning of my business and financial career. Well, I started out on Wall Street in 1975. I was recruited into a firm called Brown Brothers Harriman. Then, as 1987 was approaching, the markets were very rich.
I felt the markets were overpriced. I didn't believe in something called portfolio insurance. I wanted out. In fact, I wanted to go short. And so I left Brown Brothers Harriman and created Fisher Capital Management. We compounded money at 23.6% a year for 9 years running. And then I had gotten to know Bill Clinton a little bit when he was governor. And he offered me the job of being Deputy United States Trade Representative with the rank of ambassador. And it took me 3 nanoseconds, and I accepted. I've always wanted to serve my country that took in my parents. And so I became Deputy U.S. Trade Representative. And over a course of 4 years, I negotiated over 40 different treaties or agreements. And it was a magnificent experience.
Richard is known for his speeches. He can take the most complex subject and articulate and explain that subject in terms that anybody can understand. I had the pleasure of chairing the search committee when the Federal Reserve Bank in Dallas was searching for its new president. We ended up with 6 finalists. We had one question for all of the candidates, same question: why do you want this job? And Richard's answer was, serving with the Federal Reserve is the purest form of government service. At that point, we could just shut down the entire search process. And he came on to be a great president of the Federal Reserve Bank.
I served as president of Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas from 2005 to 2015. Alan Greenspan actually was the one who gave me this advice. What I should do is start talking to people that were in the real economy, as he called it, and get a sense of how they viewed the economy, because those are the people we made policy for.
He had a list of 30 or 40 people. He would call each person, visit with them approximately 20 minutes, get their views as to what was happening in their business.
And I always found it fascinating. And I always remember sometimes I would answer a question and say, look, I'm no economist. And he said, I know, that's why I want to talk to you. So it's obvious he was trying to get data and information on what was really going on the ground in the U.S. economy from people who were engaged day in and day out.
His time in Washington had prepared him for the responsibilities within the Federal Reserve. His impact on the state and the nation was huge.
What I love about Texas is you can become somebody having been nobody. First, I've always wanted to give back to the place that were good to me. And so we've given gifts to the universities that I attended. I was asked to be on the board at the Dallas Museum of Art. I was on the Symphony Board. And then I became chairman of Goodwill here in Dallas, which I found very gratifying. I lucked out. It's easy to luck out in Texas. I really feel that way. I love this state.
This is a man with an insatiable curiosity. One could almost say to recreate oneself on a regular basis is something that I see Richard having done for many, many years.
Richard has been successful in virtually everything he's done in life. And a measure of success is how one confronts obstacles and overcomes them. And that is Richard Fisher.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an impossible task this evening. How do you explain Richard Fisher in 90 seconds or less? A first-generation American and self-made successful entrepreneur who attended the Naval Academy, Harvard, and Oxford with distinction at every point along the way. A leading Wall Street financier with one of the country's oldest and most revered companies, Brown Brothers Harriman, ambassador and trade negotiator around the world, a member of the American Academy of Arts and Science, an advisor to cabinet members and presidents, the leader of the Federal Reserve Bank in Dallas, not a branch, from 2005 to 2015, the most difficult and challenging period in our country since the Great Depression, a philanthropist involved both nationally and locally in dozens of worthy causes, and oh, what a legendary raconteur. Richard's also a man that started his business career with a paper route in middle school, was a multi-sport athlete in both high school and college, and worked his way through school with several jobs, including that of a short order cook and as a teacher at a maximum security women's penitentiary in Massachusetts. You really are a slacker, Richard. I mean, really, no patents, no Guinness World Records. Canadian author and activist Irshad Manji coined a phrase for our world, which I consider apt in this context. She says that we live in a world that is deliciously complex. I think it's accurate to describe my friend Richard Fisher in the same way, as deliciously complex. And weren't we all lucky, those of us in this room, to have a deliciously complex Texan at the helm of the Federal Reserve Bank for a decade and sounding the alarm before anyone else about the looming financial crisis, as well as a path to recovery afterwards. Warren Buffett, the famous Oracle of Omaha, says that if you're born in America, you've already won the ovarian lottery. And that's true as far as it goes, but it is a rare person, having won the lottery, who then spends his or her time and energy serving others. Devoted husband, father, and friend, a man who has given himself selflessly in service of his country and his community over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 1949 ovarian lottery winner and the newest member of the Texas Business Hall of Fame, Richard Fisher.
Well, thank you, Doug Fauché. That was an unusual and wonderful introduction. And I want to thank my friends and colleagues from the Federal Reserve who are here, my colleagues from AT&T Tenet Healthcare and PepsiCo and CNBC who came to this impressive ceremony this evening, to Ray Hunt and to Randall Stevenson for their kind words. And I want to say also thank you to Meredith Walker, who's done extraordinary work with her team to make this a magical moment. Well, my wife, Missy, is here together with her son, Jack, who's a senior studying economics and business at UT. She's also with the handsome husband of my daughter, Allison Ware, who is a vice president of Frost. My incredible daughter-in-law, Osa, who is president and COO of a company called iStation. And her husband, which I have to say is my remarkable son, Anders, who's a partner in the Global Investment Fund and a managing director for HPS Partners. And then my talented other son, Miles, is awaiting the arrival of my 7th grandchild in Los Angeles, but is the founder of Bixby Coffee Company. As you might infer, everybody in our family is involved in business. We believe in the power of private enterprise and the good that business can do. Especially in this election cycle, I've been thinking of a quote from Winston Churchill. He said, and I quote, "Some see private enterprise as a predatory animal to be shot. Others look on it as a cow to be milked. But a few see it as a sturdy horse pulling a wagon." Well, I and my wife and children are among the few. We believe the wagon businesses pull is the strength of Texas, the strength of the United States, and we're proud to be surrounded by all of you tonight who celebrate free enterprise at its best. Now, my son Anders was a bicentennial baby. He was born in 1976 in New York City, shortly after I started my career on Wall Street. When he was just a few months old, I was swept up in the mood of thankful patriotism for the country that took in my parents, and I took Anders in my arms to see the Statue of Liberty. And on the ferry ride back, I looked at the skyline of Manhattan, and I thought to myself, New York is really a magnificent place, but it's already established. It is the past. I need to go where the future is and take my son and family there. That place was Dallas and Texas. And from the moment I arrived here with my family, I understood exactly what Georgia O'Keeffe, the mother of American modernism painting, wrote when she came to paint the Texas landscape. She said, "I couldn't believe that Texas was real, the same big, wonderful thing that oceans and the highest mountains are." Well, I had made the right decision to become a Texan. And as has been mentioned, I grew up in what might be euphemistically described as an economically challenged family. My father was an abandoned child. He lived a desperate childhood begging for food and shelter in the streets of Queensland, Australia. My mother was born in a tin-roofed hut in the South African veld. They came to America, the promised land, for a much better life. And it worked. They never had much money. They often had none. I still am haunted by the memory as a fifth grade boy going with my mother to hawk her engagement ring in order to put food on our table in one of our most desperate moments. But still, my mother and father created a life of promise for their children. And with their love and encouragement to study and work hard, I was able to go to the best of schools and land pretty good jobs, earn good money, and live a good life in Dallas in the big, wonderful, bigger than oceans and mountains state of Texas. And like many children of immigrants, I always felt the need to pay it back to my country. I was lucky to have been born here in the lottery of 1949. And so my life has been punctuated in the private sector, punctuated by service in 2 presidential administrations and a decade at the Federal Reserve. I understand that I am the first Federal Reserve Bank president to receive this honor. I hope it will inspire the young scholarship students who you met this evening to follow a similar path, to do more than just make money, but to give back to the city and state and country in which they have been blessed to make their fortunes and to prosper. I have been blessed to be able to do so, and I am honored to be here on the stage tonight. Every Christmas, like some other people in this room, I receive a big old pecan pie from one of the true Texas legends, Red McCombs. Red may be surprised tonight to be quoted alongside of Churchill and Georgia O'Keeffe, but the beautiful words that he's carved into the wooden box holding that pie are equally eloquent. It says, "Thank your lucky stars, you're in Texas." Well, I thank my lucky stars I'm an American, I thank my lucky stars I'm a Texan, and I thank my lucky stars that you have honored me tonight. Thank you very much.
As a former mayor of San Antonio, I think I have observed over the last years the people who have built modern San Antonio, the pillars of our economic base, and Tim Hickson was certainly one of those people. We've been very fortunate as a city to have a number of legends who have made the roster of Texas Business Hall of Fame legends, people like H.B. Zachary, Red McCombs, General McDermott, many, many others. And Tim Hickson would be a welcome addition on the part of those legends. They would clearly vote to have him included in their mix. The Hickson family's done a great job building the physical landscape of San Antonio, and in some sense has been a representative from San Antonio to the rest of the state, the rest of the country, and even globally. Please turn your eyes to the tape to watch the story of Tim Hickson.
Tim was defined by his love of all things outdoors. He was happiest in nature. It's just what gave him life.
Well, in 44 years of marriage, we took 3 trips that didn't involve hunting or fishing, but he much preferred to be in the outdoors.
Tim was a study in contrast. He shook the hands of 7 presidents, but he preferred to be with the cowboys at the ranch. He loved a great meal from a world-renowned chef, but he loved Whataburgers. He loved to be out in the wild, yet he was the chairman of an urban real estate company. Tim graduated from Trinity in 1964. He received an economics degree from Trinity. He immediately started with Midland Investment Company in 1964, which was the family's business at that point, and became a director in 1966.
And working under the tutelage and mentorship of his uncle, I'm sure that his business acumen was well noticed right off the bat.
Hickson Properties began in 1975. I joined the company in 1990, and we began to focus immediately on downtown properties, which was way ahead of its time in terms of the focus on downtown and urban living, leading us to develop numerous different properties, including the Westin Riverwalk Hotel, Hotel Contessa, the River House Apartments. Tim was involved in each and every one of those properties and loved the process and was leading the way all the way.
Hickson Properties, known for their world-class developments, really had a profound impact on the vitalization and revitalization of San Antonio.
Tim was the spearhead behind much of that development in downtown San Antonio and Austin and Dallas. Tim was innately a great leader. I think it first starts with he had an outstanding moral compass.
You do things the right way. That's the way he felt about business in general.
Tim was kind of a contemporary Teddy Roosevelt. You know, obviously a pillar and anchor of San Antonio and Texas business, but he cared deeply about conservation. Somebody who knew that he had earned a lot, had been given a lot, but he was going to give back a whole lot more. Tim was generous beyond measure to things that he believed in, and whether that was, you know, his leadership role in the Boone and Crockett Club, or the work to support the Caesar Clayburgh Wildlife Research Institute, or really his chairmanship of the Parks and Wildlife Foundation.
Tim always said one of his favorite, if not his favorite jobs, was being on the Parks and Wildlife Commission. 98% of the land in Texas is private land, and Parks and Wildlife attempts to make the rest available to as many people as possible.
As Tim loved to say, it was his best job, it was his favorite job, and it was his lowest paying one. Absolutely nothing. So the Edwards Aquifer is the source of water for agriculture and recreation and all the hill country, rivers. Tim recognized that you needed to protect the land that served as the recharge for it. So Tim led an effort in San Antonio to help drive a public referendum that set aside 1/8 of a cent of sales tax to help protect the recharge features for the Edwards Aquifer.
Tim's interest in conservation and his serving on many boards was very important to him, and one of the most significant successes was Government Canyon.
Here is this 12,000-acre former ranch, and Tim led the drive to help acquire that and make it a state park. Tim was always thinking about, how do we make it better? How do we polish the gold? How do we leave it better than we found it?
I don't think he actively set out to say, you know, I'm going to save the world or I'm going to leave it a better place, but it was just things that needed to be done.
No finer leader, no better person, no more honorable individual, no better family man, someone who just inspired us all.
The video you just saw is an outstanding summary of a man whose 81 years was power-packed from the beginning to the end. Many of you in this audience whose life was touched by Tim know he was totally committed to support people, and he stayed behind them in all circumstances. We know the tremendous contribution to downtown that Hickson Properties made. But what you probably don't know is Hickson Properties is a family company with 125 families as shareholders. Tim was their leader, always respected, sometimes a grizzly bear, sometimes a teddy bear, but always leading the 125 families in one positive direction. Tim loved his family. He had incredible pride in his sons, Timo and Brian, daughter Ashley, and grandchildren Foster and Clayton were perfect and could turn Tim into a marshmallow. Foremost, Tim loved his wife, Karen, and was totally devoted to her and she to him. A great mom, board member, travel companion, Karen stood by his side in all conservation effects and community service. True life partners, soulmates. They loved everything together and most of all, each other. Please welcome Karen Hickson.
Thank you all very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I can only tell you that Tim would be thrilled and delighted, honored to be inducted into this most prestigious group. And it's been, it's an honor for me to be in this group. I thank you all. I thank the Texas Business Hall of Fame, all my family and friends, people who, made an effort to be here tonight. I can't tell you what it means to us all. One of Tim's favorite bumper stickers was, "I wasn't born a Texan, but I got here as quick as I could," which he did, and then he made the most of it, as you have seen. And we did have a wonderful life together, enjoyed many, many things. He made such a difference in downtown San Antonio. Hickson Properties was and continues to be a fantastic corporate citizen in what they do. But obviously conservation was his great love. And he introduced me to a world that I had not known before. In fact, he used to love to tell people I'd never been off concrete until we were married, which was not totally true, but close. Anyway, again, I don't have huge prepared remarks. It is a wonderful, wonderful honor, and he would be thrilled. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
San Antonio is fortunate to have a host of iconic businesses. I have a friend who moved here from Michigan not long ago, and he said, "I've never seen a city where every dinner party conversation, be it family gathering or sophisticated dinner party, eventually turns to somebody's experiences at H-E-B." Well, the same thing can be said of Bill Miller's. And I can only tell you from personal experience. I have daughters who, when they arrive at the airport from California, on the way home, have to stop at Bill Miller's. I have a son-in-law who played football in the NFL, who on the way in from the airport has to have sweet tea from Bill Miller's. And I can only tell you in my own office, I frequently have lunch at my desk, and my secretaries don't even ask what to bring in. They know it's going to be Bill Miller's, and sometimes that's happened 5 days in a week. So it's a special treat to recognize this family that has meant so much to our city, including things, not only the multiple outlets that they have, but things like making the land available downtown so that the University of Texas San Antonio can have a downtown branch. That was the Bill Miller family. Please, the tape.
People hate corporate food, and they really hate corporate barbecue. But our food is so good, people line up for it. It's so consistent that they line up to buy it. What I love about Bill Miller Barbecue is the challenge of running it. It is so difficult. It is so complex. Today we have 76 Bill Miller Barbecue restaurants. This is a challenge, yet it is so much fun.
Bill Miller's got their start in 1949 selling eggs door to door, and then recently thereafter started dressing chickens out of their garage. Bill Miller's opened their first store in 1954 and didn't open their second store until 1966 and started expanding more aggressively thereafter.
My dad suggested that I be a school teacher. That way I wouldn't have to worry about running a business. And that's where I was headed until between my junior and senior year. He called me in about April, and he said, could you come home and run the restaurant this summer? Your mother and I'd like to go to Europe. So I came home in May, they went to Europe, and I ran the restaurant. And by August, I said, when I finish school next May, I'm coming back to San Antonio, and I'm gonna take over Bill Miller Barbecue. My brother-in-law, Louis Vance, joined me, and as each of my brothers finished college, they joined me. And we began to build restaurants. That was the beginning of Bill Miller's.
Bill Miller Barbecue has been so successful, first of all, because of the product. It's a great product. They're also successful because they've got a tight-knit family. They don't make decisions lightly. The big decisions are made by the immediate family, and if everyone doesn't vote unanimously, the project does not go forward.
So we wouldn't do anything until we had unanimous approval. That was one of our agreements was in the past when we made decisions, we worked together. Our mother taught us this.
One of the special things about Bill Miller Barbecue is the use of a central commissary. They have a central commissary where they cook all of the meats and the baked goods and ship it out to over 75 different stores in different locations throughout southern Texas.
The Bill Miller Commissary was created because we wanted to create a system where we have the quality and the consistency delivered to every single restaurant every day.
We're cooking 30,000 pounds of choice brisket a night here, barbecuing for 18 hours. But you've got to remember that all that food is eaten and enjoyed by your customers one bite at a time. And the quality of that food has got to be so good, the consistency of that food has got to be so good that it'll bring your customers back.
A great saying that Bayless always uses is, you take care of your employees and they take care of you. And he does this by taking care of them through a number of good benefit programs and salaries.
The owners of Bill Miller Barbecue, they treat their employees with great respect. They give them tuition reimbursements, they pay them well, and they take care of them.
Our best people are our homegrown people. We're helping these kids get through college. They're coming back to work for us after they get out of college. We promote them from within. We're looking for talent and looking to promote them and pay them more money and keep them here. In the 1980s, San Antonio needed $350,000 for the Mom Patrol program, and they were going to have to shut down the crossing guard program in San Antonio, and we took that check over to the city council meeting the day they announced they were short of it.
They turned around to leave and go out the door when the mayor said, wait a minute, let's thank you properly. But it's typical of the way they think. It's nothing about the thanks, it's about doing what's right for the community.
There's a lot of needs in San Antonio, but we've tried to concentrate most of our giving towards education. The nursing school gift at University of the Incarnate Word was from my brother, John Miller, one of the four of us here that run the company. Our mother was a registered nurse, and they named the nursing school in honor of our mother.
They further showed their belief in education when they donated a large prime real estate area in downtown San Antonio to the University of Texas San Antonio.
We're one of those rare family businesses And you know, I've been raised in it. Like my brothers and sisters, we all worked here. I just happen to be the oldest. We've been together for over 40 years. We still love each other. And it's rare to see. So that's the kind of family business that we've been over the years, and it's worked very well for us.
This is the land of opportunity. This is the great American melting pot. Tonight, I'm not referring in general to our United States of America, but to Bill Miller Barbecue and what the Miller family has created in our hometown. Literally tens of thousands of people in South Texas have had their first real job at Bill Miller. There, they learn the value of a customer, the value of a fair deal in product and service, the discipline that goes with systematically delivering what customers want day in and day out, and there they learned a deep, deep work ethic. Many of those people have taken what they've learned and parlayed it into a meaningful and rewarding career at Bill Miller. Or they've taken that knowledge, skill, and discipline to every other occupation in our city, our community, our South Texas, and created all sorts of opportunities for themselves and others around them. The Miller family sincerely loves its employees, loves them. And it credits them with building the grand business that Bill Miller has become. This is the land of opportunity for those who work hard. The Bill Miller family also loves its customers, and I mean in the most sincere way. They constantly express gratitude directly when they're in the stores where they eat, and through the trademark thanks given by the staff to every customer that leaves a Bill Miller restaurant. Who are those customers? They're a perfect cross-section of San Antonio and South Texas. The construction company owner is at the next table to the construction worker. The bank president and her lawyer are at the table next to the mailroom worker. Bill Miller serves an astounding 30 million meals a year, meaning that the average San Antonian eats there 15 times a year. And as you heard earlier from Secretary Cisneros, many go every single day. This is where San Antonio eats. This is the great melting pot. It's now my great honor to introduce my friends, Vivian Miller Vance, John Miller, Doug Miller, and Bayless Miller, the visionary chairman of this company, which exemplifies these special American values. Bayless will accept this award on behalf of 3 generations of his family. Please join me in welcoming the Bill Miller family into the Texas Business Hall of Fame.
We're so proud to be here tonight. Thank you, David Ledinson and Rod Sands. My first order of business was to recognize my wife, Julie. We've been together for 42 years, but she fainted out during the reception, as so many of you know, and she's resting fine at home. Her vital signs are fine. It was just too long a day for her, I think. My second order of business is to recognize my late brother-in-law, Lewis Vance. He was our partner at Bill Miller's and more like a brother to us than a brother-in-law. He passed away about 8 years ago. He can't be here with us tonight, but I know he's looking on and celebrating with us. And the last and third thing I'd like to do is ask all the Bill Miller family to stand up, please. That's our family right over there. Well, it was January 2nd of 1949, the coldest day recorded in the city of San Antonio, 1 degree below zero. It had snowed 8 inches that night. The Bill Miller family was living in World War I barracks. One little heater in the house at Stinson Field. Yeah, Dick, right over there by Mission Memorial Park. But my dad was driving a Coca-Cola truck, delivering Coke for the Bedenhorn family. My mother was a registered nurse, taking the bus into downtown San Antonio and sitting up all night long with a sick lady for a $5 bill. You might think that's pretty humble beginnings, but they both came from families of merchants. My dad's family owned the mill in Cramples Gap, Texas, where they were from, and he played college football. My mother's family owned the general store in Cramples Gap, Texas. She was valedictorian of her high school class and her college class. And it wasn't long until Daddy left the Coca-Cola company, bought a three-wheeled Cushman motor scooter. We started selling eggs door to door on the southeast side of San Antonio. Yeah, it's true. We started dressing chickens in our garage. Our mother sold them out the front door. And later we opened up Highland Poultry House. A few years later, we opened up Miller's Chicken Box next door to Highland Poultry House. 2 pieces of fried chicken, slice of bread, French fries, and a slice of sweet pickle for 50 cents. And that was the beginning of Bill Miller Barbecue. I learned to swim in the San Antonio River, Mission County Park. I was about 7 years old, and Mama took me down to that water waist deep, and there was a gentle current flowing downstream, and you can't imagine what Mission County Park looked like in those days. It was a beautiful park with big pecan trees and alamo trees, and she gave me a push, said, cup your hands and pull, kick with your feet, and gave me a push downstream, and of course I sunk. But she worked me there about 20 minutes, and with the help of that current, I was learning to swim pretty good in about 20, 30 minutes. And so went with the bicycle. Someone had left a 26-inch girl's bike at the poultry house. After about 5 days, Daddy brought it home, and Mama took me up to Miss Waters' driveway, which was up a hill there. We lived on Upson Road, and put me on that bike, and kind of a little downhill there, and gave me a push, and I fell over and tried to pedal. She held me, and after 4 or 5 attempts, about 20 minutes, I was kind of riding that bicycle. And so it went with Bill Miller Barbecue. When I got out of college, when my brothers got out of college, we took over a business that was doing business and making money. And so you come here to honor us tonight, but we come here and honor our parents. They were the ones that planted the acorn that in our mind grew the mighty oak. Thank you all.
Bayless may be the spokesperson of the Miller family, but we're also going to ask Vivian, Doug, and John to come join him on stage so that we can appropriately recognize all of the family with our award tonight.
Kendra Scott started her business in her spare bedroom, and it has grown to multiple outlets all over the state and places like New York City, and is a favorite of people all over the country. As I indicated before, Kendra Scott is not with us tonight because she's tending to her father in Wisconsin. But the Kendra Scott story is here on tape.
We are all about joy. We're a joyful brand. And when you go into our stores, you feel that sunshine, that happiness, that joy. And so it's much more than just products that we create. We're creating this connection to our customers in such a heartfelt and meaningful way. Kendra Scott, was founded out of my extra bedroom of my home in 2002. We are a accessories and jewelry brand. We started out as a strictly wholesale business. After I had a retail store before that failed, I was scared. I said, I'll never get into retail again. I started with $500, literally. I put everything I owned up for collateral, and it could not fail. I could not let this business fail. I knew we had something special. I knew there was some magic in there. We just had to ignite it.
What I saw in Kendra when I first met her was a tremendous amount of passion. That passion is infectious. When I first began, it was a small company. The company was about 98% wholesale. So it was really a wholesale model. And Kendra had made a decision, a strategic decision when the market softened to go direct to consumer.
There were many times I was so fearful of losing my business. I remember when the recession hit, before we opened our first store, I thought we may lose our business. There were lots of peaks and valleys. And I think going through those valleys made us stronger and makes you better. And then in 2010, opened our first retail store in Austin, Texas. And we really realized that we could build something that was an experience and connect with our customer in a way that was so special. And that's when we saw the lightning in the bottle growth. From 2010 to today, we now have over 100 Kendra Scott stores across the country.
The store is really the nexus of the customer experience for us. They can touch, they can see, they can smell, they can feel, they can try on. And Kendra designed the very first store. Most jewelry stores you go to, all the products behind locked cases. Everything in our stores you can touch and feel and try on without having to have somebody come and get a key and unlock something for you.
There were no locked cases. Customers could touch and feel it, and everyone said, Kendra, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Be crazy. Crazy works.
The company is built around 3 pillars: family, fashion, and philanthropy. Family really does come first. She's a mom. Fashion really speaks to the business that we're in. And then the third is giving back to the community.
I think the foundation for us, the purpose of the brand, is to do good. And I built this business as a mother first and wanted to create a company that celebrated parents. I knew you could have a great career and be a good mom. And if there were ways that I could give tools to the folks that worked alongside me to have that same life, we wanted to do that. Over 95% of our workforce are women. Many are mothers, and they are having amazing, brilliant careers and also having amazing, brilliant life with their families. And I believe you can have both. You just need the support around you to do it. Philanthropy is one of our core pillars. And so we have philanthropy days where our teams are going out and really giving their time and their love into the communities that they serve. We have a Kendra Cares program where we're in 30 hospitals across the country, bringing our custom color bar to pediatric patients. And our teams volunteer their time to go into these hospitals and connect with these amazing patients and their families.
Kendra is one of those people who sort of lights up the room when she's present. She is immensely popular and a tremendous inspiration to many, so we love it when she comes. It's the best. She approached MD Anderson about what she could support. Once she toured pediatrics, she became committed to that as her cause, and it just kept going from there. Whether it was a token where the proceeds went specifically to MD Anderson, or it was the direct support program she had, or most recently the AYA wellness program she sponsored. It's been a fantastic relationship.
She's authentic. She understands her strengths. She understands her weaknesses. She's very passionate about people. She's passionate about products. She's passionate about the community. No amount of schooling and education can help somebody become passionate. You're either a passionate person or you're not.
Be disruptive. Do something different. I always say if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you've already failed. Don't be afraid to go against the grain. We did something that no one had done before. We made a welcoming, safe, fun environment that wasn't scary in jewelry, and it worked. So don't be afraid to be a little crazy and color outside the lines.
There's likely not a woman in the room who hasn't experienced the joy of the jewelry that comes in the little yellow box emblazoned with the iconic Kendra Scott logo. To know Kendra is to know, yes, that she's a brilliant jewelry designer, but in truth, she's about much more than her gorgeous products. As I shopped tonight for bling in one of her stores, or for tonight for bling in one of her stores last Sunday, I was impressed by the energy of her accommodating salespeople, by the delight of her enthusiastic customers, and by the constant thrum of registers ringing. Making it big in retail is a testament to Kendra's contrarian and very right view that brick and mortar retail is by no means dead. I know from personal experience that Kendra and her team are all about giving back. For years, she has dedicated a generous proportion of store proceeds to my company's campaign to end Alzheimer's. Kendra's energy and passion are infectious. On a recent phone call with her, I shared that I'm trying to better manage my overtaxed calendar by doing a bit less. I should have known better. It took her less than 2 minutes to recruit me to the Women in Leadership program that she founded at University of Texas, Austin. But above all, what impresses me most about our next inductee to the Texas Business Hall of Fame is her unwavering dedication as a mom. To start a business is something, but to start a business and manage that balancing act better than probably anybody I've ever seen or known is extraordinary. Her dedication is to family, and truth be told, no one would be more happy to humbly receive this award tonight than Kendra in person. But she's rightfully by her dad's side as his health deteriorated. As we pray for the best outcome for him, and it's looking very good, it's my privilege to introduce her first employee, her mom, Janet Ricks, to accept this honor in her stead.
Those are some tough acts to follow, I'll tell you. Thank you, Patricia. And thank you to the Texas Business Hall of Fame for this amazing honor. As she said, I'm Janet, Kendra's mom. Oh, what a proud mom I am tonight. Kendra is absolutely heartbroken that she can't be here tonight to celebrate this honor with you, but I am so grateful that she asked me to receive it on her behalf. First, let me say how proud I am of my daughter in every aspect of her life. Perhaps what I'm most proud of, though, is that she's always had family first. And even today, although she would love to be here more than anything, she has been looking so forward to this event, has been talking about it for months, and certainly would be here, but she's living out her core values of family first, and is at her father's side when he needs her tonight. So please all pray for him as well. So as a wife and mother, she has 3 wonderful boys. I love my grandchildren. And that's always been first in her life. From day one of Kendra's business, she's always made a culture in her businesses to allow women to be creative and encourage them to do the same. She's led the charge in creating an exciting brand where we put family values first and encourages an entrepreneurial mindset. And although she's not here tonight, we are here in her place. Her family, her husband Matt, thank you for coming. Her lifelong friends who've helped her build this business from day one. I see some of these faces who are some of the, we call the core 8, who have been with us from the get-go practically, been around for a long time. And if you ask any one of them, they would tell you that there's not another person on earth that has more energy, optimism, and enthusiasm than Kendra Scott. The very first woman to be inducted into this Hall of Fame was Mary Kay Ash. That has some significance to Kendra and to myself, because when she was a little girl, I was a Mary Kay sales director. And little did I know that that little girl that was in my little utility room unpacking Mary Kay product, organizing it on my shelf, she'd love to play with my product, and go out on deliveries with me, could I possibly imagine that someday later she would be here receiving this amazing honor? I am just so proud. I couldn't have imagined it. You know, all a mother ever wants for her children is for them to be healthy and to be happy. And you want them to do the best to make a difference in the world. She's truly done that. But to stand here tonight and accept this on my daughter's behalf is beyond my wildest dreams. Because when I hear some of the stories about some of the backgrounds tonight, that's kind of my story. You see, my daddy was a coal miner. We didn't have running water and indoor toilet when I grew up. So for me to stand here tonight and accept this honor on her behalf, one generation removed, it's just mind-boggling that only in America can that be the case. We are just so amazingly fortunate to be here. So I'm very proud tonight and so thankful to the Texas Business Hall of Fame for this amazing honor. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Only in America, huh? I told you when we started out that you would hear some beautiful stories. Every year it's the same thing. It is the way America works. It's the way American business works, free enterprise, opportunity. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it is the reason that this Texas Business Hall of Fame exists, why it's so successful, because of the people that are honored. Well, the next person, Robert Smith, is the epitome of that American concept. You may recall seeing a story of earlier this year at graduation at Morehouse College that the commencement speaker said to the group, the graduating class of Morehouse College. Now, those of you who don't know where Morehouse is, it's in Atlanta. It is the most prestigious African-American male college in America. It's where Dr. Martin Luther King graduated, and many, many, many other illustrious figures in American leadership. The committee that invited Robert Smith had no idea what he would say. It's not the reason they invited him. But in the course of his remarks, he said, to every one of the students here, your college debt is hereby paid off. It was a $40 million gift. Now, the committee that selected Robert Smith for this award didn't know at the time he was selected that that was going to happen. So it's not the reason that he's here. The reason he's here is because he built a business over the course of a lifetime in the investment fund, asset management of equities, of stocks, that would eventually manage $46 billion, which is the assets under management today, and 60,000 people would be employed in businesses in which Robert Smith has invested. It is the classic American story, the story of Robert Smith.
I was basically raised in a family of I'll call it achievers. You know, my mother and my father both had doctorate degrees in education, and they emphasized not only to my brother and I, but to the rest of the family, the importance of really, you know, A, becoming educated, B, working really hard, and you know, C, trying to become the pinnacle of success in one's community. And you know, when I look back at those days and the formative elements of who we were in our communities, I saw parents who gave generously of time, energy, effort, and intellectual capacity to our community. And I think what that led me to do was always think about striving for excellence.
Smith began with a degree in chemical engineering from Cornell, but soon decided he needed to go to Columbia Business School to get a better understanding of how business works. In '94, he joined Goldman Sachs in tech investment banking, where he found a home consulting on over $50 billion in merger and acquisition activities, from Apple to eBay, from Hewlett-Packard to Microsoft. He recognized the biggest new opportunities would be in merging the worlds of finance and technology.
For Robert, it's all about solutions. Any solution is fair game for Robert Smith's examination.
What we did and what I was able to do was bridge a couple of ideas. You know, software is truly still the most productive tool introduced in our business economy over the last 50 years. And through my work, when I was early as an investment banker, I got to see a number of software companies and how they operated. And I ran across one that turned out to be a client, and ultimately the owner of that business, that trust, ended up being my first investor. And that particular business had a set of practices that they used, business practices, that helped them run that business more efficiently than any other software company that I had seen. And so in essence, you know, what I'll say, you know, took some of the kernels of those best practices and said if you took them and as an engineer and create a process around delivering those best practices across the world of enterprise software, you could do quite well. The thing that I noticed that is very few software companies were actually efficiently run. Well, why? The big part was most executives who started software companies, well, they wrote code or they knew a market opportunity and they sold the code. There was never anyone who taught them how to run software companies. So I then run into this small company, I'll say small, in Houston, Texas, that is the most efficient software company I've ever seen. They had some very basic things that they just did extremely well. And I said, wow, if you took those basic things and actually applied them ultimately to other enterprise software companies, you could run those businesses very similar to the way they ran theirs and would create tremendous value in those companies. That was the idea, that was the conceit.
Robert Smith, founder, chairman, and CEO of Vista Equity Partners, is a leader in the tech industry. Vista currently manages equity capital commitments of over $50 billion and oversees a portfolio of over 50 software companies that employ over 60,000 people worldwide.
If you think about everything that he's accomplished, I really believe that the only thing that's bigger than his success, than his giving, is actually his heart.
The sheer scope of his philanthropy is staggering. He's the chairman of the board of Carnegie Hall, the Fund II Foundation, Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Chairman, Boys and Girls Clubs of San Francisco, and just a few months ago, as the whole world was shocked to see, he paid off the entire student loan debt of the graduating class at Morehouse College.
He saw an opportunity. No one had to ask him. He did it. And again, the reason Robert Smith did that for those students is because he's a guy that has a heck of a heart. I look at him as a guy that doesn't think about how much is enough to make for himself, but how much is enough to make so then I can help others. Not too long ago, he actually made about a $20 million donation to help bring about the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C., in our nation's history, to capture the rich contributions of the African American community.
changing the landscape of opportunity across communities of color and leading innovation in technology and business. It's no wonder Robert Smith was named by Forbes as one of the 100 greatest living business minds.
When someone remains humble and always remembers the path they've traveled and always takes the time to reach back and help others, that to me is the greatest demonstration of the intelligence, and I think that's the secret sauce to Robert's success in his professional life, philanthropic life, and personal life.
Good evening. I'm Ernie Cockrell, and it's a real honor and privilege to introduce to you Robert S. Smith. I don't know that anyone has the ability to explain everything that Robert has done in his life, so I'm not even going to attempt that. What I'm going to try to do is maybe give you a little insight in how someone like this comes to be and what drives him. Robert's life has been influenced greatly by his parents, as you've heard in the video, but there have been some other events that I believe have really impacted who he is. In his early schooling in Colorado, he benefited much from better schools than many of his friends as a result of integration's busing on the front end. And it impressed him that access, in addition to a good education, was one of the key ingredients to advancement. In high school, through tenacity, as a high schooler, he convinced Bell Labs into taking him as an intern. And it was his experience at Bell Labs that convinced him he wanted to be a chemical engineer. And then his parents, again, when he was a teenager growing up, would take him to a mountain river retreat in Colorado, one of the few places where African Americans could gather, and they were authors, businessmen, scientists, musicians of the arts, and he was exposed to this diversity of occupations as a very young man and became infatuated with business, science, and music. He believes in the power of education, in the power of internships, of music, of being in touch with nature, and of the engineering approach to problem solving. This is what has molded his life. As an engineer, he instinctively looks for problems and opportunities and finds solutions regardless of the area, be it business, philanthropy, or community. And by the way, as an engineer, that foam on top of your espresso cup, he invented how to do that. Robert focuses on projects that can be brought to scale and have a ripple effect. He combines a big heart with showing the way for others. A close friend said about Robert, he believes he has a purpose in life to create value, to help others, and to advance mankind. He has genuine confidence in his abilities, but the humility to know he can't do it all by himself. In every way, he is the strongest individual I've ever met. Another of his friends says, he has an incredible range of knowledge and interests that enable him to converse in a meaningful way with anyone he meets. Earlier today, Robert F. Smith won the Carnegie Award in philanthropy. Robert is devoted to his family. He and his wife, Hope, live in Austin and have 5 children. Please join me in welcoming Texas business legend, Robert F. Smith.
first of all, I want to thank Ernie Cockrell, a true Texas legend, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Ernie. Second thing I'd like to do actually is to have my Vista family stand up. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to recognize, please stand up, recognize my Vista family, Art, Brian. Many of these people have been on this journey with me for over 20 years. And what they bring is a resolute soul to how we are going to run our business, how we're going to live in our communities, and how we're going to treat our people. And I want to thank them for having all of the right conditions in their heart and in their minds to be exceptional at doing that. So I want to thank you all for being here and supporting me. I'm so proud and humbled, first of all, to be asked to join this wonderful and distinguished group. And when I look at this class that I'm inducted in, the 2019 class, you all are spectacular. You are people who truly embody a lot of what the Texas spirit is. It's interesting to see how many of you actually moved to Texas. And I have to tell you, we at Vista moved to Texas deliberately. We saw the opportunity to actually come into a place that there's a spirit of entrepreneurship, one that involves a place that, while it's a big state, it feels like it's still a hometown, and that people want to get to know each other and actually want to help each other drive their ambitions and dreams forward. As you saw in the video, my parents laid a great foundation for who I am as a man, who I am as a person. And I think about the early days growing up in my family, watching my mother write a $25 check to the United Negro College Fund every month for over 50 years. My father served on the board of the local YMCA to ensure all our kids in the neighborhood not only learned to swim, but had a chance to go to the mountains and learn the beauty that nature provides in one's spirit. And I realized through those years growing up and watching them every day, that life truly is about taking the blessings that you have, developing them to the best of your ability, and delivering them back into your community in ways that are meaningful. And when I think about Texas, that's what Texas is all about. I am the first generation in my family to have all of their rights in this country after 8 or 9 generations of being in this country. This is a country that provides an economic system that gives us all the opportunities that value enterprise, protect property, intellectual property, and encourage competition so that we can all become better in what we do. But the other thing that this country provides us is the opportunity to look at our communities and solve those problems as private citizens. And we at Vista, and me and my partners, take that very seriously. We think about the challenges we have in our own business. The biggest challenge we have now is people, talent. We have 5,000 open recs across our 70,000 employees for technical jobs. We only graduate less than 80,000 computer scientists in the United States, and there's 1.5 million open job recs for computer science jobs. And so we don't sit back idly. We build programs and systems to train our young people so that they can actually enter into this next generation of business opportunity, which is IT focused. And I would encourage all of you to embrace every opportunity to train our young people, give them internships, help them understand not only the constructs of business, but how the digital dynamic around business is going to lead to the next generation of opportunity. And I applaud all of my companies and our teams. We have 34 companies that operate here in Texas, almost 7,000 employees, which will likely go to 10,000 over the next 18 to 20 months. And every single one will be involved in their communities to teach and train every child that we can reach so that we can have a robust workforce in this country to support this opportunity that is this fourth industrial revolution. What I'll leave you with is as follows. Business enterprise changes lives. We have to preserve a system that supports it. We have to preserve a system that actually creates opportunity for every one of our citizens to participate into this platform of business. And we have to be thoughtful about how we as Texans are going to ensure that this state continues to lead the way in showing what the new business and the new economy of America looks like. A statement I like to keep in mind is doing better is always good. Doing good is better, but it's best to do both. So thank you very much, and I'm honored to be here tonight.
At various points in history, every one of the cities of Texas has had visionary leaders who have taken the city from a present level of success to the next level. People like Eric Johnson in Dallas, the first Eric Johnson, because the present mayor of Dallas is named Eric Johnson, but I'm talking about in the 1960s when the idea for DFW was envisioned, for example, or Jesse Jones in Houston, who envisioned the creation of the Houston Ship Channel as an example. San Antonio has been blessed with a number of people who have been really key at key points, like, for example, the creation of Hemisphere in 1968, which was a turning point in the direction of the city. We are blessed to have such a visionary leader in the head of the business community here and making massive civic contributions. His name is Graham Weston. Graham Weston is the person who created the idea of cloud computing and built the largest cloud computing company in the nation in rack space here in San Antonio. And then he realized that there needed to be a larger ecosystem for the city to support companies like that. And so he invested in the downtown, he invested in the surrounding business districts, he invested in new buildings. He and his father built the largest skyscraper 20 years ago, Weston Tower, and now is responsible for building the new headquarters for the Frost Bank, which is a beautiful piece of architecture that changes the city's skyline. His interests are broad, but they're always about building, and building either business or building the community. Really special human being. And did I mention that he graduated from Texas A&M. Special human being, the person right now in San Antonio who everybody regards as the visionary who is shaping the future, Graham Weston.
If you've spent any time around Graham, you know Graham is a mile wide and a mile deep. His superpower as a leader is to unlock this latent potential in others.
Graham is having the most fun when he's working with people on hard problems. He wants to go do hard things with great people. That's what drives him.
I think my calling is seeing the potential in people and the potential in ideas. In 1999, it was the very beginning of the internet. My business partner and I met with 3 young students at Trinity University, and they had this idea. They wanted to rent servers to people who needed websites. You know, it sounded a lot like real estate. You're renting servers instead of renting apartments, for example. Initially, my business partner and I were investors, but we were never passive investors. We worked 1 day a week in the company. But after 6 months, we could see that there was such a potential. We quit our day jobs to go and work at Rackspace full time. The product sold itself. We ended the year at $1.8 million in revenue. The second year we did $12 million. So it was an incredibly fast growth rate. In 2016, we sold the company to a private equity firm. Today, the company has more than $2.5 billion in revenue and 6,000 employees. It's one of the largest hosting companies in the world. One of my favorite things at Rackspace was developing the value proposition for our people. And we summarize it in a very simple sentence. People want to be valued members on a winning team on an inspiring mission.
The way he is relentless at driving at those three things in other humans, it's how he has come to be so successful across so many different ventures.
Today I'm focused on rebuilding San Antonio's downtown. There's such an opportunity for San Antonio to enter the technology industry.
I think that he realized that when he's at Rackspace, part of what we needed to do with San Antonio is to build a broader ecosystem of tech talent. If we wanted to attract great people even to Rackspace, we needed more here around us to make people feel like they could take a bet on San Antonio.
7 years ago, we started Geekdom, which is a startup community. It's a place where entrepreneurs can go and help build their ideas and start their businesses. And that has spawned really a tech district downtown. Really, to me, it's about how do we create greater opportunity in our city? How do we bring those tech jobs that are available around the country and bring them here to San Antonio?
Weston Urban is a small real estate development company focused almost entirely on a little sliver of downtown San Antonio. And our mission is very simple.
How do we make San Antonio a better city? How do we create a city that my kids would want to move home to? So my partners and I have bought up more than 20 acres in downtown, and we're really building a whole new urban center for the city.
Just like he saw in Rackspace, he sees so much potential in San Antonio. And he is passionately working to make things happen in this city and to create a great ecosystem of great people who are doing great things.
Graham is the most generous person I've ever met.
My philanthropic efforts have been centered mainly around education. I partnered with UT San Antonio to relocate their computer science department. This is going to be a cutting-edge school that combines engineering, business, and computer science. It's going to be one of the biggest schools of data science in the entire U.S.
Graham's gift to UTSA and the School of Data Science is a watershed moment for downtown. As a city, we know we still have a long way to go, but we are absolutely out of the gates. And without Graham's optimism and investment, we would have never gotten out of the gates.
I think that working with other people is really the highlight of what business is to me.
For Graham, it has never been about Graham. It has been about a bigger mission and a bigger purpose, about seeing the potential in others and about allowing them to achieve things that they would have never dreamed of.
The scary thing about Graham is he's got amazing number of business accomplishments, but he's just getting going. And he is constantly seeking opportunity, both in the people he meets and in just the world around him. He's relentless and won't let up. And I think his best days are ahead.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Ed Whitaker, and it's truly a privilege this evening for me to tell you about our next honoree. If you know anything about Graham Weston, it's that he's a serial entrepreneur. But he wasn't always a technology entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, the entrepreneurial spirit was evident pretty early on in Graham's life. When he was in the 7th grade, he began marketing organic pork. And his newspaper ad read, "Go Hog Wild." I don't know what organic pork is. I'm not sure how it's made. I'm not sure what ingredients it has or doesn't have, or what the nutritional value is. But I don't know about you, but I like my plain old bacon and eggs. After his hog wild days, Graham started a new enterprise while in high school when he launched a photography business, taking photos at livestock shows and then selling those photos to the contestants. That venture continued through his college years at Texas A&M, where he earned a degree in agribusiness in 1986. That makes me feel pretty old. At 28, age 28, he led a group of investors to acquire a 30-story office building in downtown San Antonio, now known as the Weston Center, which he bought during the 1980 savings and loan crisis. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005, Weston quickly sprung into action for disaster relief efforts by providing temporary shelter in the old Windsor Park Mall. The old mall was soon called the Hilton of Shelters, welcoming 2,500 people who found a safety net of services and caring volunteers helping them rebuild their lives. That mall eventually became home to a brand new technology, a technology company Graham founded called Rackspace. In 2010, Graham co-founded Geekdom, where tech startups could be housed in a single location with low rent and support for their growth and development, believing that collaboration leads to sustainability. In 2012, he founded Weston Urban, which struck a major development agreement with Frost Bank in 2014 to build their new 23-story glass skyscraper in downtown San Antonio, which just opened. Now serving as CEO of Weston Ventures, Graham is calling on former Rackers to open doors at major technology companies. He recently hosted a reunion event for 100 former Rackspace employees in San Francisco to encourage Bay Area prospects to consider investing in San Antonio for any corporate expansion plans. Graham's business philosophy is pretty simple. He believes you should draw from your strengths and give your best to those around you because he says people matter. That's pretty evident around San Antonio, where his vision has left an indelible mark on our community. Both as a catalyst for revitalization and reinvention, Graham Weston is truly a transformative leader. Would you please welcome honoree Graham Weston. Graham.
It's great to be among friends. Thank you, Big Ed. Thank you, Big Ed. You know, I came here to talk about how proud I am about the 18 years at Rackspace and what we did to build what is the largest technology company in San Antonio. Today, Rackspace has more than 6,000 employees, $2.5 billion in revenue, and that makes me so proud. Does anybody here have a friend or relative who's ever worked at Rackspace? One or two of you? It's amazing to me how one company can have so many friends across the city, and I run into them all the time. And it just makes me so proud. And actually, we have a number of Rackers right here. Former Rackers, would you raise your hands? Right? Thank you. I think that I also came here to talk about my current passion. As it mentioned in the video, my current mission statement is to help build a San Antonio that is good enough for my 3 boys to move home to. Because has anybody ever lamented the notion that the idea that their children actually don't think San Antonio is cool enough to come back to, right? I hear these complaints all the time. And I know we have friends from all over the state here, but I want you to know that San Antonio is really entering its own right now. We're entering a magic moment where this city is going to rise in this state as one of the most important cities in this state, in this country. But I decided to tear up my speech at my table, and I decided to talk about something instead. And I want to keep this really simple. So much of the enjoyment in our lives and so much of the enjoyment in business really comes down to the people we work with. Where else does it come from? You know, you can only look at your bank account so many times. You can only look at the sales numbers so many times. To me, the experience of business is the experience that we have with the individuals that we work with. And that made me want to recognize 2 people who are here tonight. That's Lanham Napier, our CEO, and Lou Mormon, our president. Would you stand for a moment? I also want to Lanham was the CEO during our public years and was president prior to that time, and Rackspace would not be what it is without his leadership. And he has gone on to form the Build Group, which is also doing private equity, as Mr. Smith does. And I'm so proud of him, and I'm absolutely honored to have worked with him for so many years. He joined Rackspace when Rackspace was about 50 employees, and you know, Rackspace would not be what it is without him. And next is Lou Mormon. Lou joined Rackspace right about the same time, I think a month apart, back in when Rackspace was 50 employees in 2000. And Lou was our president for most of the last years, and working with Lou has always been one of the joys of my life. And really, the 3 of us worked so closely together that when I think about those years, I really think about what an incredible thing it was to work hand in hand with these 2 gentlemen as a team to build a company we were all proud of. And I'm so honored to work with each of you and to call you my partners. Thank you to both of you, Lou. Thank you, Lanham. I also want to thank Dirk Elmendorf, who's here. Dirk is one of the true founders. He's the only person who actually graduated from Trinity among the 3 founders of Rackspace. Isn't that true, Dirk? The others 2 went to Trinity, but didn't graduate from Trinity. And so Dirk is one of the inspirations of the early days of Rackspace, and without his enthusiasm and also without his vision, we never would have built the underlying software systems that made Rackspace work. So thank you, Dirk. And then I also want to thank David Bryce. David Bryce is here. David is the father of what Rackspace is famous for, which is fanatical support. He put those words up on the wall and he said, someday we're going to say that we give fanatical support to our customers. And those words became billion-dollar words. If you don't think marketing matters in business, if you don't think having a great reputation matters in business, you just only have to look at fanatical support and the power and the focus that it brought to the entire business, every step of the way. Every person at Rackspace for decades knew exactly what our strategy was. Thank you, David. And then last, there's a lot of fun in business. There are highs and there are lows. There certainly are long hours. There are long plane flights. Gary Kelly of Southwest Airlines is here. Thank you, Gary. We have bought many a ticket before Business Select even. Many tickets from Southwest Airlines, many late nights. But I think there's a price to pay by people who are behind the scenes. We all know what that means. That is, there's a price to pay for all of the travel, for the late nights, and for the fact that most of us who are leading businesses obsess about it. We focus on it. We kind of never get it out of our minds. And this leads to a price to pay for our families. And I want to personally thank my wife here for being that silent partner for all those years, and for being the person who is behind the scenes, raising my family, raising my 3 boys, and making sure that I was welcomed home every single time at 1 or 2 in the morning. And I just want to say thank you to you, Elizabeth. I want to say thank you for this honor. It's absolutely phenomenal to be among the nominees tonight. Thank you so much.
Well, you've just experienced an incredible evening and an incredible class of 2019 Texas Business Hall of Fame legends. Doesn't tonight make you proud to be a Texan? I want to share some other good news with you. I mentioned earlier how proud San Antonio is to call ourselves Military City USA. And it's not just a slogan, it's not just a statement, it's a belief that this community embraces day in and day out. I shared with you earlier that we had a $150,000 scholarship. I found out while I was sitting up here tonight that someone, an anonymous donor, has matched that $150,000 scholarship for our veterans. So 150 and 150 is 300. We also have $75,000 that was donated for a 5-year scholarship for a Marine. So now we're up to 375. And thanks to every one of you in this room, we raised an additional $68,000 in contributions for a total of $438,000 for veteran scholarships. I hope this evening has inspired you in more ways than one. And if there's one thing our legends and our scholars teach us every year, it's that each of us has our own story to tell and our own dream to pursue. There's nothing more powerful than a good story, and there's no better place to create that story than the great state of Texas. Before we conclude, I want to take a moment and say a sincere thank you and a special thank you to our MC tonight, Henry Cisneros, for his leadership. Thank you, Henry. And now I'm pleased to introduce to you the incoming chairman of the Texas Business Hall of Fame for 2020, John Karp. John is a tax partner with Whitley Penn in Dallas, and John is joining me on the stage.
Wow. Thank you, Sean, and congratulations on a most successful induction dinner tonight. And also, congratulations to our legends and scholars honored this evening. I am pleased to announce that next year's Texas Business Hall of Fame Legends Induction Dinner will be held in the great city of Dallas on November 4th. Please mark your calendars and join us as we continue our mission to embrace and celebrate the entrepreneurial spirit in the state of Texas through enterprise, community, and excellence, as we have just seen those 3 core values, how much we just raised for veterans. Thank you all again for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in Dallas next year. Have a wonderful night.